Hello, this is The Only Exception, and I'm here with a more updated tutorial on how to make Sims 2 animations in Blender. This is an update because previously we were using an old rig for The Sims 2, whereas now we have a new rig that was created by a Sims 2 creator on Tumblr, which I will put the link in the video right here so you guys can go thank them, check them out. So you will open Blender 2.8. You're going to need 2.8 because the rig does not work without 2.8. Alright, so here we go. Here is our base, our new Sims 2 rig. So you're going to make your animation however you want. Some notes about this rig is that these control the elbows and the knees. You should only move them. You should not rotate them. So what I do is, because I always want to start with a standing base, sometimes, not always, but if you want to start with this pose, you press A to select all and press I to insert a keyframe for location and rotation. These are just some basic Blender techniques. They're just shortcut keys. You can probably find more Blender tutorials elsewhere. I'm not going to get too much into it right now. You can also press T in order to, once you have something selected, you can move it or you can rotate it, things like that. And a short key for rotating is when you press R, you can just rotate, and you can double rotate and you can do a different kind of rotate if you double click R. So I'm just going to make a simple animation. It's not going to be like good or anything, just for an example for you guys. Just a second, I'll be right back. So I'm going to call this good, even though it's like, it's all right. What I like to do when I'm animating as well is I like to do auto keying, which is this little button right here. So whenever you move a bone, it will automatically save the positioning whenever you move it, which is nice. So you don't always have to press I and then it save these every single time. But it's nice to have. So after you are done animating, make sure you select all, and then you can find which is your last keyframe. And change your timeline so it only includes that. So it will export to this area. Now what you want to do is make sure you have everything selected. Go to Pose, Show Hide, and Reveal Selected. This is important because while you have the IK things for the hands and the feet, there are hidden bones that are on the original rig and not the new rig. These are just to retarget to the original rig. It's confusing. I won't get into it, but it's basically parenting and childing, and it's good to just show all of these. So you're going to go to Pose, Animation, and Bake Action. Make sure you have Visual Keying and Clear Constraints selected, and then press OK. So now you can see that it baked the entire animation. Next, you're going to mute the meta rig and unmute the original rig. This is the old rig, which we used to use for Blender and Milkshape, but now we have the meta rig, which basically parents all the movements to this rig. So we want to make sure that we have a start and an end keyframe. These are the most important because, as you can see, there's not any keyframe set between here, but it still moves. So it'll technically track any keyframe set in between here. You just need the front and the end. So press pose mode just to make sure that these both have a front and end. And then you're going to want to go into the original rig, skeleton, animation, and then rename it to whatever you want. Test tutorial. We're just going to name it that for now. Make sure you're in object mode now. Go to Scene, Properties, and scroll down to Source Engine Export. This is important because you want to know where you want to save your file. So you find your export path, wherever you want to save it. We're just going to save it in just this base folder right here. So the important thing is that whenever it exports from Blender as an SMD file, it will export to a subfolder called Anims. For example, you can see right here, like, I already exported to this folder and it's made a subfolder Anims. It'll just automatically generate that subfolder and put your exported animation in that folder. So if you can never find your animation, it's probably in the anim subfolder somewhere in your files. Next, just make sure that you have this set to SMD, Z, and source. Next, you're going to go to export, source engine, and then export the animation. So this is just a random tip for anyone animating that I'm just going to throw in here. If you ever have leg problems or arm problems or any rotation problems, for example, if you have a sim walking forward and their legs just like start spinning in game because Milkshape and SimPE hate rotations, you can do this method in order to fix that. So basically what I do is I select all of the keyframes, and first of all, I'm going to bake this. Show, hide, reveal selected, and then I'm going to bake it. Once we've baked it, we're going to make sure everything is selected. We're going to press S to scale and type in a 10, and then press enter. So you see now instead of 150 keyframes, we have, let's see, 1,491. So we do that. We scale it because this is hard to describe, but basically because there's more keyframes in between these, there's less problems for rotation between each single keyframe. It reduces the amount of rotation that is between each keyframe. So even though it doesn't look like there's still not set keyframes in here, once you export it from Blender, it bakes the animation anyway. So there will in fact be 1,491 keyframes for you to manage instead of 150. And because of the less rotation involved, it fixes the leg problems and it fixes the rotation problems and the body problems and the arm problems. So if you're ever struggling from weird twisting, rotating legs or things like that, just scale them out and this should fix the problems. One warning I will give is that if you're in Milkshape and the amount of keyframes that you have is larger than how long the animation is, it will not import properly, so make sure that your animation length is longer than the amount of keyframes you have. That's just a little tidbit from me, and I hope that helps with a lot of rotation problems that people seem to have when animating. Next, we're going to move on to Milkshape. Once you're in Milkshape, you are going to go to your recent files and you're going to open up AF Anim Base. This is the one that we used to animate when it came to animating in Milkshape, but we no longer need to do that because we know how to do that in Blender now. You're going to go to Import Half-Life SMD, and then you're going to find that anim file that you exported. As you can see, it exports to a subfolder called anims. You're going to open it. Make sure you only have skeleton selected. Press OK. And you do not want to append the animation at the end. And then just to make sure that it imported, press anim. And yep, it imported because we can see the movement right there. We're going to go to File, Export, Sims 2 Animesh Anim Exporter version 1.0.1. And I guess we're just going to export it like this. Test tutorial. Save. And you always want to set it to body overlay, locomotion as pose. And when it comes to the length, these are in milliseconds. So 4,000 milliseconds is going to equal 4 seconds in game. So just set that to whatever you want and export. And then we're going to go to SimPE. Now, when you're in SimPE, this is a new method that I found thanks to Sim2fan. Basically, it makes importing things much easier. You're going to make a new file for your import file, press add, and then you're going to make sure that you have all files so you can find the 5AN, which is here, because for some reason it doesn't show up under here. You're just going to have to press all files. Find test tutorial, the one you exported from Milkshape, and open that. Then you're going to go to resource, click this only once, do not click it twice. I'll tell you why later. This is going to be set to 0x1C0532FA, which I'll put on the video as well. Animation resource, commit. And now here comes the biggest change probably in making your import file. Instead of going to plugin view like usual, we're going to go to Tools, Object Tools, Fix Integrity. And it's basically the same as going to the plugin view and pressing Fix TGI, but this way you don't have to load the animation. So say you have an animation that has 2,000 keyframes and it might take an hour to load in plugin view. This way you can just do it in a few clicks and it takes probably 30 seconds at maximum depending on how many keyframes you have. So that's very much a time saver. You're going to make sure you want to memorize or at least copy and paste the name of your animation. We're going to save that for the hack file. So we're going to save as, we're just going to name this tutorial, import. This is your import file. We're going to press save. So the import file is done. We're going to press new, and usually you have to construct a new box entirely using Paul's reaction tester, but I made a base box so you actually don't have to do any of the coding that's involved usually when making a new box. So you're going to press open, and then you're going to go and find the base box for hack file, and you're going to open that, clone that, make sure these options are pressed, everything except the last two are checked, start. And we're going to rename this, whatever you want it to be named. I'm going to press update, okay, and then we're going to save it. Tutorial hack, save. And so basically, as you can see through this, all of the coding is actually done for you. So you don't have to worry about all of this coding in the behavior functions or anything about that. What you do need to worry about is you need to go to object data, and you still need to change the guide. So you're going to go to Tools, Object Tools, Hash Generator. You're going to copy the hash value from here, and you're going to paste it into where it says guide. Update, commit. So that should change. It makes it so two boxes can be separate in-game, because if they have the same guide, they'll be registered as one object and they'll interfere and conflict. Next, you want to go to text lists, anims adult, and that name for that animation that you imported in your import file, we're going to put that here. So the name of the animation was test tutorial, I believe. I believe that was the name. So all of your animation names you're just going to put into here. You can press add, and you can add as many as you want. You're going to press commit file and save that again. If you want a different catalog description, you can name it your own. You can name it anything you want. Say the only exceptions test tutorial box. And then you can change the description to created by the only exception. Stuff like that. You can just commit file like that. That's a save. Next, you can go to the pie menu strings, and you can input anything you want. Say you want test tutorial animation 1, and then you can just do start, and then you can go down the list from there. Make sure that the start and stop functions have the same menus, like they have the same strings. Just make them almost exactly the same except for the end where it says start or stop. They should be the same, or else they're not going to show up in the same pie menu. So we're going to save that there. And when you go to the pie menu functions, these are also set up for you. They're all set up until 21 different animations. So if you don't have 21 animations, you can just start deleting these up until you get to how many animations you really do have. And so now when the box shows up in game, it will only show these two on the pie menu. I've basically set up all of these things, this base box, so you don't have to do the programming for animations unless you have more than 21 animations. And that's basically it. You can change the texture image here. You can press export, and then you can export it, and then you can press import, and it'll import the image. And then you want to press update all sizes and fix TGI. So that'll do everything for you. If you need any other help or if you have any questions, please leave them below. I know I did not do the best at explaining this because it's very much intuitive to me on how to make animations now. So if I missed anything important or if you have any specific concerns, please let me know. So this is kind of a mini tutorial just using the base box for animations hack file in order to show you how to add more than 21 animations. So first you want to sort by instance, making sure that these are right instances. You're going to take the 21st start, you're going to clone it, and then you will change it to 22 because it's going to be the 22nd animation. You're going to go to the second bar down, go to operands, and in this first box, you're going to change the 14 to a 15. And so you just keep gradually going up from there in order to match them. So right now, this shows that we have 22 animations. So those are reflective of Adam's adult. Say you have 21 of these. So now we have 22, and I'm just going to name this example. We're going to commit file. And as you can see, if you go down to start, click on the second one, it'll show it in here. At least it should. Let me see. Oh, see, this is the 16th, so apparently this was incorrect. But see, you can see the example. This reflects the text lists in the Adam's adult. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to clone the stop function. You're going to do 22 for that. And you're going to change it to, I guess we're changing it to 16. I guess we skipped one. So we're going to save. And then we're going to go to resource. And you see how this is 38 and this is also 38? We don't want that. The stop for 21 is 39, so we're going to want to skip by 2. So we're going to go A, we're going to go B, and then we're going to go to C. So it's going to be 2C. Commit that. And as you can see, it went down. We're going to do the same thing with this. Skip 2, go from B to D, commit, save. We're going to change this. I did the wrong one. Let's do this. Okay, there we go. And now, as you can see, these are all in the right order. They all have their own instances. It's important for them to have their own instances because if they don't, they'll be registered as the same command. But yeah, that's basically how you add a second animation. You're just going to have to also go to Pie Menu Strings to reflect that. You're going to press add, and then you can do 22, add, and 22 again. So you'll have those. So you'll save, and then Pie Menu Functions. We're going to scroll down here. We're going to do add. We're going to do A. And see, these match up as well. And then I'm going to do a B and a D, and those match up as well. So basically, when you're adding more animations, you just do these steps. It's pretty easy, self-explanatory. Once you get used to it, it'll make more sense. This is just me, for example, running through another one in order to add another animation. Save that. So that's the behavior function setup. We're going to do another pie string example. There we go. And there's the Pie Menu function example. So, like I showed as before, if you add this, we can just say animation name goes here. And so whenever you have an animation you want to add, you just add the name here, and it should reflect, it should show up in here. Yep, animation name goes here. They're all connected, all interweaving, they all go together. But basically you just have to do those steps in order to add more animations to the box that already has more than 21 animations for you. I hope that helped. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know below.